I'd say Brian O'Driscoll is right up there with the best of all time, and Ireland should be incredibly proud of that.
Well, Brian O'Driscoll over the last 15 years has been an absolute fantastic player. You know, if you look at the greats, the Philip Sellers, the Jason Littles, the Joe Stanleys from the Southern Hemisphere, I actually think Brian's well up there. He's been unbelievable. He's his vision, great skills, and I think he's been a great leader for Ireland.
When you mention Brian O'Driscoll's name as a great player, as a legend of the game, it's totally justified, and there are not many great players in the world. There are even less great players who are also great people as well, and he was one of them. He was a great player, but also a good man off the field as well.
I was always told when I was playing rugby that people know what you do on the field. Off the field, you've got to be an ambassador. And I think he's one of those ambassadors that will go on forever. And I think the kids like those sort of people. They look up to Brian, and I think that's the future is of the young kids in Ireland, is to be like a Brian O'Driscoll.
It was quite different when you refereed Ireland because he was the captain, and when I'd go to the change room to do the boots and stuff, he'd come along and say, "Right, Nigel, I'm the captain. Anything to do with the forwards, Paul will sort it out with you. But if you need me, then give me a shout." So then I was just telling him, "Well, if I do need you, then you know there's going to be trouble. Otherwise, I'll sort it out here."
I had the pleasure and privilege of working with him on the Lions Tour 2005, even though he was dumped out of it in the opening minutes of the first test. But he's a phenomenon. He's an absolute phenomenon, and I think he will go down in that list of people that we'll be talking about long after we're all gone.
It's not often that as a referee you referee a game, because you're concentrating so much in a game. You tend to be oblivious of what's happening around you, how great the game is, somebody's performance in the game. And on only a couple of occasions that's happened, and one of them it was Bath against Leinster, and Brian O'Driscoll just played out of this world. I think he had got a few turnovers, he did a few tries, and I think he scored one or two as well.
I can't remember who it was against, but when you said that, the image that came into my mind was one like a really, really short burst against Scotland, when he just sort of seemed to charge through about 3 guys and get through.
When he plays, the enthusiasm, the leadership, and it just adds something to the team.
You know, when the people of Wales support the Lions, you know, he was one of the great players that they always wanted to see in the team. As a Welsh spectator and as the Welsh people, yeah, just huge respect for him. Well, he was a great player. Yeah. He still is, because he hasn't quite finished yet.
Exactly. Do you think he'll win the Six Nations this year?
I think it's anybody's to go for this time, I think. But listen, it'd be a fantastic way for him to end his career. I don't think there'd be anybody who would not begrudge him that.
It's a privilege and an honour to referee any game, but to referee somebody as great as him in his last game. So I'm looking forward to it becoming my 50th cap, and it's nice that it's here in Dublin because the first cap involved Ireland, and of course it adds a bit more special then that, you know, you're refereeing the last international of one of the greatest players ever.